The Jurassic period was home to many fearsome predators, from the towering Allosaurus to the massive Torvosaurus. But one theropod stood out from the rest, Ceratosaurus. With its distinctive nasal horn, bony armor, and powerful bite, this carnivore was a formidable hunter of its time. Despite being overshadowed by larger competitors, Ceratosaurus had unique adaptations that set it apart. Some scientists even suggest it may have been a semi-aquatic hunter, similar to modern-day crocodiles. So what do we really know about this fascinating dinosaur? In this video, we'll explore its discovery, size, life history, evolutionary origins, and its ultimate fate to uncover the full story of this Jurassic predator. The story of Ceratosaurus begins in 1884 when renowned paleontologist Orthnell Charles Marsh described the first specimen. The fossils were found in the Morrison Formation, a vast late Jurassic fossil site in North America, particularly in Colorado and Utah. Marsh named the species Ceratosaurus nasicorneus, meaning horned lizard with a nose horn, after its most striking feature. This discovery came during the infamous Bone Wars, a period of fierce rivalry between Marsh and fellow paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope. With so many new species being named at the time, some early reconstructions of Ceratosaurus were speculative, and it was often compared to the much larger Allosaurus. However, later fossil discoveries confirmed that Ceratosaurus was a distinct predator belonging to an ancient lineage of theropods. Ceratosaurus was a medium-sized theropod, but some individuals may have been larger than originally thought. Most estimates place it around 20 to 26 feet in length and weighing between 1,100 to 2,200 pounds. However, some fossil specimens suggest that it may have reached lengths up to 30 feet long, making it one of the larger Morrison Formation predators. Its most recognizable feature was its nasal horn, a bony protrusion above its snout. While it may seem like a weapon, most paleontologists believe it was used for display rather than combat, possibly for species recognition or attracting mates. Another unique characteristic was its osteoderms, or bony plates, which lined its back. These are rare among theropods and might have served as a form of protection or display. Ceratosaurus also had an elongated skull with large, blade-like teeth, suggesting it was a specialized predator. Its bite was powerful enough to tear through flesh, and its relatively flexible jaw may have allowed it to consume a variety of prey, from small dinosaurs to fish and even carrion. Ceratosaurus was an effective hunter, but how exactly it lived and hunted is still debated. Unlike Allosaurus, which likely hunted in groups, Ceratosaurus may have been a more solitary predator, using ambush tactics to take down smaller prey. One of the most intriguing theories is that Ceratosaurus was at least partially adapted for a semi-aquatic lifestyle. Its relatively long tail and flexible body structure resembled those of modern crocodiles, leading some paleontologists to propose that it hunted in rivers and lakes. Fossil evidence supports this idea, as many Ceratosaurus remains have been found in areas that were once river environments. This suggests that while it may have hunted small dinosaurs on land, it also had a diet that included fish and other aquatic creatures. However, despite these adaptations, Ceratosaurus had to compete with other large predators. The Morrison Formation was also home to Allosaurus and Torvosaurus, both of which were larger and more powerful. This may explain why Ceratosaurus occupied a different ecological niche, focusing on smaller prey rather than directly competing with these giant theropods. Ceratosaurus belonged to the family Ceratosauridae, one of the oldest groups of theropod dinosaurs. Unlike more advanced theropods like tyrannosaurs and allosaurs, Ceratosaurus retained several primitive traits such as their four-fingered hands and bony armor. While Ceratosaurus was one of the last members of its family, its relatives continued to evolve. The ceratosaur lineage, known as Ceratosauria, gave rise to the Abelisaurs, a group of strange, short-armed predators that thrived in the Cretaceous period. Dinosaurs like Carnotaurus and Majungasaurus, which lived in South America, Africa, and India, can trace their ancestry back to the Ceratosauria lineage. But why did Ceratosaurus disappear? By the end of the Jurassic, larger and more specialized predators like Allosaurus and the emerging Carcharodontosaurus, dominated the top predatory niches. This likely led to increased competition, causing Ceratosaurus to gradually fade from the fossil record. Ceratosaurus may not have been the largest or most dominant predator of the Jurassic, but it was certainly one of the most unique. Its distinctive horn, possible semi-aquatic lifestyle, and place in theropod evolution makes it a fascinating dinosaur that continues to intrigue paleontologists today. Though it vanished from the fossil record, its distant lineage lived on through the abelisaurs, proving that even in the age of giants, adaptability was key to survival. What do you think about Ceratosaurus? Could it have been more formidable than we give it credit for? Let me know in the comments below. Few prehistoric predators are as iconic as Smilodon, the legendary saber-toothed cat. With its enormous fangs, powerful build, and fearsome reputation, Smilodon ruled the Pleistocene as one of the most formidable carnivores. But how did it evolve? How big was it? And how did it ultimately meet its end? In this video, we'll take a look into the history of this apex predator and uncover the truth behind the saber-toothed cat. The first Smilodon fossils were discovered in the early 19th century, with the genus officially named by Danish paleontologist Peter Wilhelm Lund in 1842. Many of the most well-preserved specimens come from the La Brea tar pits in California, where hundreds of individuals were trapped over thousands of years. Fossils have also been found in North and South America, proving that Smilodon was widely distributed across the continent. 3 recognized species of Smilodon have been identified: Smilodon gracilis, Smilodon fatalis, and Smilodon populator, each varying in size and geographic range. But what made these saber-toothed cats so unique? Unlike modern big cats, Smilodon was heavily built with short, powerful limbs and a robust body. The most striking feature, of course, was its elongated upper canines, which could grow up to 11 inches long. But despite their size, these teeth were relatively fragile and were likely used for precise killing blows, rather than gripping or crushing prey like lions do today. Smilodon's short tail suggests it relied less on speed and more on ambush tactics, similar to how modern tigers or leopards hunt today. It was built for more power rather than endurance, using its immense strength to bring down large prey in close combat. Smilodon belonged to a now extinct subfamily of felids called Machaerodontidae, which specialized in saber-like teeth. Its ancestors first appeared in the Miocene around 23 million years ago, gradually evolving into the powerful Smilodon species that thrived during the Pleistocene, roughly 2.5 million to 10,000 years ago. Despite their similarities to modern big cats, Smilodon was not closely related to lions or tigers. Instead, it represented a separate lineage of hypercarnivorous predators that evolved their unique killing strategy independently. Smilodon gracilis was the smallest of the 3 species, about the size of a modern cougar, and probably the common ancestor of the 2 other Smilodon species. Smilodon fatalis was comparable to a lion, but more robust, while Smilodon populator, the largest of the species, reached heights of 4 feet at the shoulder and weighed up to 880 pounds, making it one of the largest felines to ever exist. This massive predator would have been an absolute powerhouse, capable of tackling prey much larger than itself. Smilodon lived in a time when North and South America were home to giant prey, including bison, camels, ground sloths, and even mammoths. Unlike modern big cats, which often hunt alone, there is evidence that Smilodon may have lived in social groups. Fossils with healed injuries suggest that injured individuals may have been cared for by their pack, something rarely seen in solitary cats. Some scientists believe Smilodon had a social structure similar to lions, with cooperative hunting playing a key role in bringing down large, powerful prey. Rather than using brute force to suffocate prey like lions do, Smilodon likely delivered a precision bite to the throat or neck, using its saber-like teeth to sever major arteries and quickly kill its target. Despite its strength and adaptability, Smilodon, along with many other Ice Age megafauna, vanished around 10,000 years ago. The exact cause of this extinction remains debated, but it likely involved a combination of climate change and competition with humans, who arrived in the Americas around the same time. As the large prey Smilodon relied on disappeared, its specialized hunting style may have become a disadvantage, leading to its decline and eventual extinction. Though Smilodon is long gone, its legacy as one of the most fearsome predators of the Ice Age lives on. With its unique adaptations and incredible power, it remains one of the most fascinating extinct mammals in Earth's history. Imagine an ocean where giant reptiles ruled. But along with these reptilian giants also came giant fish. Not just any fish, but the largest bony fish to have ever lived. Meet Leadsichthys problematicus, a massive filter feeder that swam in the Jurassic seas. With a size that rivals some of today's whales, this prehistoric giant has puzzled scientists for years. But what do we really know about it? Join me as we dive deep into the story of Leadsichthys, to its discovery, size, lifestyle, evolution, and the mysteries that it left behind. Leadsichthys was first discovered in the late 19th century by British fossil collector Alfred Leeds, after whom it was named. The species name, Problematicus, comes from the difficulties scientists face when trying to reconstruct it. Unlike sharks, whose skeletons were made of cartilage, Leadsichthys had a bony skeleton, but those bones were fragile and often shattered, making it incredibly hard to estimate its full size. Fossils have been found in Europe and South America, suggesting it had a widespread presence during the Middle to Late Jurassic period, about 165 million years ago. One of the largest debates about Leadsichthys is its size. Early estimates suggest it could be over 98 feet long, but modern studies suggest a range of 30 to 52 feet. While not as large as some initial claims, this makes Leadsichthys the largest known bony fish. Its body was covered in bony plates, and it had enormous gill rakers, which are structures that are used to filter plankton from the water, much like today's whale sharks and basking sharks. But how did it grow so large? Leadsichthys was likely a slow-moving giant that thrived in nutrient-rich coastal waters. Its massive mouth and specialized gill rakers allowed it to filter vast amounts of plankton. Similar to how modern baleen whales feed, it probably lived a long life, growing continuously throughout its years, much like sturgeon or catfish today. However, despite its size, it wasn't invincible. Large marine reptiles like Liopleurodon may have preyed on juveniles and even injured adults. Leadsichthys belonged to an extinct family, Pachychromidae, a group of large, fast-swimming fish that emerged during the Mesozoic. While its closest relatives were also large, Leadsichthys was the only one to evolve into a massive filter feeder. This evolutionary path is similar to how some sharks and whales independently developed filter feeding strategies. Interestingly, Pachychromidae eventually died out, leaving no direct descendants, but its niche in marine ecosystems was later filled by whale sharks and manta rays. Leadsichthys may have been massive, but it wasn't the largest fish ever. Modern cartilaginous fish, like the whale shark, can reach similar sizes. Despite its enormous size, its fossils were notoriously fragile, making full reconstructions incredibly difficult. Scientists believe it may have been a migratory species, following seasonal plankton blooms, much like today's baleen whales. Unlike sharks, which continuously replace their teeth, Leadsichthys had giant gill rakers to filter food, a unique adaptation among bony fish. Living in the Jurassic seas, it shared its waters with some of the deadliest marine reptiles ever, including Liopleurodon, which may have preyed on young or injured individuals. Its extinction marked the end of an evolutionary experiment in extreme gigantism among bony fish, but its ecological role was later filled by modern filter feeders such as whale sharks and manta rays. Leadsichthys problematicus was a true giant of the Jurassic seas, a bony fish that pushed the limits of what we thought possible for this group. Though it has been extinct for millions of years, Its story helps us understand the evolution of marine giants and the delicate balance of ocean ecosystems. What other prehistoric mysteries are waiting to be uncovered beneath the waves? Let me know what you think in the comments. Imagine coming face to face with a creature so large it towered over the trees. A giant that once roamed the earth long before any McDonald's were around. This wasn't a dinosaur or a mammoth, but something equally as fascinating: the giant sloth, also known as the Megatherium. In this video, we'll explore the astonishing world of these ancient titans, from their discovery to their immense size, unique adaptations, and the mysteries surrounding their extinction. So if you're curious about these gentle giants, stick around. There's a lot to uncover. The discovery of the giant sloth goes back to the late 18th century. In 1788, the first Megatherium fossil was unearthed in Argentina by Manuel Torres, but it wasn't until a few years later that the famous French naturalist Georges Cuvier studied these remains in detail. Cuvier was fascinated by the creature's enormous size and unique skeletal structure, which led him to correctly conclude that this was a ground-dwelling sloth. His insights sparked widespread interest and laid the foundation for paleontologists to explore further into the lives of these giants. Now, let's dive into the details of what Megatherium looked like. This prehistoric sloth was immense, with some individuals reaching over 20 feet in length and weighing as much as 4 tons. They had massive limbs with huge, curved claws designed not for climbing trees, but for defense and mainly digging. Unlike modern sloths, Megatherium walked on all fours, though fossil evidence suggests they could also stand on their hind legs to reach vegetation high in the treetops. With powerful muscles and a strong jaw, they had no trouble feeding on tough plants, but despite their impending appearance, they were herbivores, primarily feeding on leaves, shrubs, and branches. To understand how Megatherium evolved, we need to go back to around 35 million years ago, during the Oligocene epoch, when the ancestors of all sloths first emerged in South America. Over millions of years, different sloth species adapted to various habitats, with Megatherium evolving around 5 million years ago. Unlike the smaller tree-dwelling sloths we know today, Megatherium was part of a lineage that adapted to life on the ground. Scientists believe these giant sloths evolved into such massive creatures due to the abundance of plant resources and the lack of large predators in their environment. Size is one of the most striking features of Megatherium. As stated before, these creatures weighed up to 4 tons. They were one of the largest terrestrial animals, rivaling even the mammoths of the time. Standing on 2 legs, they could reach a height of nearly 12 feet, allowing them to access food resources that smaller herbivores just couldn't reach, allowing them to occupy unique niches once only occupied by mammoths. Their sheer size also acted as a deterrent to predators, though they were still vulnerable to large carnivores and eventually even human hunters. The giant sloth lived in a diverse range of habitats, from woodlands to savannas, spread across South America. Despite being herbivores, they played an essential role in their ecosystem, helping to shape the landscape by breaking down vegetation and digging for roots. Their massive claws were not only useful for gathering food, but also for defense. Fossil evidence shows that they likely coexisted with early humans, and some researchers believe humans may have even hunted Megatherium, contributing to their eventual extinction around 10,000 years ago. Although Megatherium disappeared from our planet thousands of years ago, its legacy endures in the fossil record and in the imaginations of scientists and enthusiasts alike. Studying these giant sloths not only provides insight into the past, but also helps us understand how ecosystems function when influenced by large herbivores. While their time on Earth may have ended, the story of Megatherium reminds us all of the incredible diversity and resilience of life. Who knows, as we continue to discover more fossils, we may uncover even more secrets about these incredible giants. Imagine a creature with the body of a pot-bellied herbivore, the claws of a horror movie monster, and feathers that wouldn't look out of place on a giant bird. This is Therizinosaurus, a dinosaur that baffles, intrigues, and fascinates scientists and dinosaur enthusiasts alike. How did a relative of the most fearsome predators become a slow-moving, leaf-eating giant? What were those massive claws actually used for? And why is Therizinosaurus one of the best examples of evolution taking an unexpected path? In today's video, we're taking a peek into the world of this prehistoric oddity, from its discovery and anatomy to its evolution and way of life. Our journey begins in 1948, deep in the Nemiget Formation in the Gobi Desert in Mongolia. A joint Soviet-Mongolian expedition stumbled upon a series of enormous curved claws, unlike anything seen before. These fossils were puzzling. The claws were over a meter long, but they were isolated, with no skull or body to give context. Based on limited evidence, paleontologist Evgeny Maleev proposed that they came from a massive turtle-like creature. He named it Therizinosaurus caleniformis, meaning scythe lizard shaped like a turtle. It wasn't until decades later, in the 1970s and 80s, that more complete skeletons of related dinosaurs began to turn up. Fossils of Alexosaurus, Bipiasaurus, and Segnosaurus showed scientists that these were not turtles and not predators, but an entirely different group of theropods, one that had evolved to eat plants. These new finds helped us finally reconstruct what Therizinosaurus may have looked like, and the results were weirder than anyone expected. Therizinosaurus was a towering figure, measuring an estimated 33 feet in length and standing up to 16 feet tall. It likely weighed between 3 and 5 tons, similar to a large elephant. Its body was bulky and barrel-shaped, with a wide pelvis and a massive gut, a strong indicator of an herbivorous diet. It had a long neck, tipped with a small skull equipped with a toothless beak at the front and leaf-shaped teeth in the back for processing vegetation. But the most iconic feature? The claws. Each hand bore 3 scythe-like claws, each up to 3.3 feet long. These are the longest claws of any known animal, living or extinct. Despite how menacing they look, these claws were likely not used for killing prey. Instead, scientists believe they were tools for pulling down high branches, defending against predators, or even intimidating rivals. Therizinosaurus was also feathered, a trait it shares with birds and many other theropods. While the feathers weren't for flight, they may have played roles in thermoregulation, species recognition, or even mating displays. Therizinosaurus lived during the late Cretaceous period, around 70 million years ago, in what is now Mongolia. Its environment was a mix of river valleys, forests, and floodplains, rich in vegetation and home to a wide variety of dinosaur species. Fossil evidence suggests Therizinosaurus may have nested in groups, similar to other large theropods. While we haven't found direct nests from this species, related Therizinosaurs laid large, elongated eggs in carefully arranged patterns. It's possible that adults engaged in some level of nest protection, especially given the many predators they lived alongside. One of the main predators would have been Tobosaurus, a massive tyrannosaur loosely related to the T-Rex. Despite its slow gait and herbivorous lifestyle, Therizinosaurus would have been a formidable target, capable of defending itself with its massive claws and bulk. Its daily life probably involved slowly browsing through forests, using its height and reach to strip foliage from tall trees. While not graceful, Therizinosaurus likely had a good balance, using its long tail to stabilize its bulky frame as it moved. The story of Therizinosaurus is a fascinating one, not just because of what it was, but because of what it evolved from. Therizinosaurus belonged to the Theracinosauridae family, a group of feathered theropods that took an unusual evolutionary path. They descended from carnivorous ancestors, closely related to Maniraptorans, the same group that gave rise to Velociraptor, Deinonychus, and ultimately modern birds. Early relatives, like Falcarius utalensis, show us this shift in action. Falcarius had sharp teeth suited for meat, but also features that suggest a partially herbivorous diet. Its descendants developed longer necks, bigger guts, and flattened teeth, more suited for plant consumption. In short, Therizinosaurus is a product of evolutionary reversal, a meat eater that gave up flesh to become a plant eater. while still keeping many theropod traits like clawed hands, hollowed bones, and feathers. This makes it a remarkable example of adapted evolution, showing how flexible life on Earth can be when facing new challenges and opportunities. Therizinosaurus defies expectations. Its claws suggest a predator, its body suggests a herbivore, its ancestry suggests a carnivorous theropod, but it lived like a browsing giant. It's a dinosaur that forces us to challenge our assumptions, that just because something has fearsome weapons doesn't mean it's a killer, that even the fiercest of lineages can take a gentler turn, and that evolution doesn't always build towards what's more aggressive or more powerful. Sometimes it builds towards what simply works better in a changing world. As we continue to uncover more fossils and understand more about this bizarre creature, Therizinosaurus continues to stand out as one of the most unique, enigmatic, and iconic dinosaurs of the late Cretaceous. Antarctica, a land of ice, snow, and silence. But over 190 million years ago, it was something else entirely. A vast, forested world filled with strange life forms, and among them was a predator so unique, so out of place, that its discovery sent shockwaves through the world of paleontology. This is the story of Cryolophosaurus, the cold crest lizard, a dinosaur that flabbergasted paleontologists with its flamboyant crest, a fearsome bite, and a home unlike any other. Today, we explore how this incredible creature lived, what it can tell us about early dinosaur evolution, and how Antarctica was once an ancient paradise. This story begins in 1991 in the windswept peaks of the Transantarctic Mountains. Dr. William Hammer, a paleontologist from Augustana College, and his team were braving extreme Antarctic conditions when they stumbled upon something incredible: fossilized bone protruding from the rock near Mount Kirkpatrick. What they found was a partial skeleton of a previously unknown dinosaur, a nearly complete skull, vertebrae, ribs, hip bones, and parts of the limbs. In 1994, the dinosaur was officially named Cryolophosaurus elioti, meaning cold crest lizard, with the species name honoring David Elioti, a supporter of the expedition. This marked the first carnivorous dinosaur ever discovered in the continent, and the first dinosaur named from Antarctica, a groundbreaking moment that reshaped our understanding of where dinosaurs could live. Cryolophosaurus was no small predator. Estimates place it around 6 to 7 meters long, that's up to 23 feet, and weighing between 500 to 700 kilograms, about 1,100 to 1,500 pounds. Its long tail, powerful hind legs, and sharp teeth made it a formidable hunter. But what truly sets Cryolophosaurus apart is its distinctive crest. Unlike any other theropod, its bony crest ran across the top of its head, just above the eyes, and swept back like an elegant wave. Some have compared it to Elvis Presley's hairstyle, earning it the nickname Elvisaurus. So what was the crest used for? Likely not defense. The crest was too fragile. Instead, most scientists agree it was probably a display structure used for attracting mates, intimidating rivals, or signaling to others of its species. Its elaborate form suggests that social behavior and visual communication may have played a role even in these early theropods. Cryolophosaurus lived during the early Jurassic, around 190 million years ago, a time when Antarctica wasn't frozen. Instead, it was part of the southern supercontinent of Gondwana. The region supported forests of conifers and ferns, thanks to a milder climate. Still, being close to the South Pole meant Cryolophosaurus likely experienced months of darkness during polar winters. How it coped with this remains a mystery to this day. Did it migrate seasonally, or endure the darkness like some modern polar animals? We may never know for sure, but its presence here proves dinosaurs were far more adaptable than once thought. Fossil evidence from the area suggests Cryolophosaurus shared its world with early herbivorous dinosaurs, like Glaciolosaurus, as well as ancient amphibians and primitive mammals. It likely hunted these creatures using its strong legs for ambush and its curved, serrated teeth to rip through flesh. Interestingly, growth rings in its bones hint that Cryolophosaurus may have grown in spurts, slowing down or even pausing growth during the harsh winter months, a pattern seen in some modern reptiles. Cryolophosaurus sits at an important evolutionary crossroads. It's considered a basal tetanoran, an early branch of theropods that would eventually lead to iconic predators like Allosaurus and Tyrannosaurus rex. Its anatomy is a blend of the primitive and the advanced. Its skull and teeth resemble those of earlier theropods like Dilophosaurus, but it also shows traits seen in more advanced meat-eaters, such as certain vertebral and hip structures. Some paleontologists have debated whether Cryolophosaurus represents a unique lineage or a transitional form between primitive and more derived theropods. Either way, it's a crucial piece of the puzzle, showing that large, advanced predators by the early Jurassic had already spread across the globe. Its presence in Antarctica also supports the idea that dinosaurs were not limited by temperature or extreme environments, as once believed. Instead, they were global survivors, thriving in habitats from equatorial deserts to polar forests. Cryolophosaurus is more than just a dinosaur with a fancy crest. It represents a turning point in how we understand prehistoric life on Earth. Its discovery revealed that dinosaurs lived and thrived in regions we once thought uninhabitable. From its striking appearance to its polar lifestyle, Cryolophosaurus challenges the assumptions we had about dinosaur evolution, climate adaptation, and migration. It also reminds us that the fossil record is far from complete, and that some of the most incredible stories still lie beneath layers of rock and ice. As scientists continue to explore Antarctica and other remote regions, more secrets may come to light, perhaps even relatives of Cryolophosaurus, or creatures even stranger than that. Until then, this cold, crested lizard stands as one of the most extraordinary dinosaurs ever discovered. Triceratops, one of the most famous dinosaurs to ever walk the earth. With its massive horns, bony frill, and powerful muscles, it was a true icon of the late Cretaceous. But how much do paleontologists really know about this three-horned giant? Today, we'll take a look at its discovery, its life history, its evolution, and even the mysteries surrounding its ancient existence. Triceratops was first discovered in 1887 when paleontologist Othniel Charles Marsh received fossilized horns from Wyoming. At first, he thought they belonged to an extinct bison, but soon after, in 1889, a new complete skull was found, revealing a brand new dinosaur species. Marsh named it Triceratops horridus, which means horrible three-horned face. Since then, multiple Triceratops individuals have been identified, with fossils primarily found in the Hell Creek Formation, a prehistoric ecosystem teeming with dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus rex and Amontosaurus. Triceratops was a true titan of its time. It measured up to 30 feet in length, stood around 10 feet tall, and weighed between 6 to 12 tons, about as much as an elephant does today. Its most striking features were of course its three massive horns and its large bony frill that covered the back of its skull and helped protect its otherwise vulnerable neck. These horns weren't just for show. They were likely used for defense against predators like the Tyrannosaurus rex, and possibly for combat between rival Triceratops, much like how modern-day deer will lock antlers in combat. Triceratops was a herbivore, using its strong parrot-like beak and rows of shredding teeth to slice through tough vegetation, including ferns, cycads, and conifers. Triceratops likely lived in herds, offering protection from predators. Fossilized trackways suggest these dinosaurs may have moved in family groups, much like modern-day elephants. Interestingly, some Triceratops fossils show battle scars with healed wounds on their frills and broken horn tips. This suggests they engaged in fierce battles, whether for territory, mates, or even dominance within the herd. While we don't have direct evidence for Triceratops parenting, related ceratopsians show signs for caring for their young. It's possible Triceratops parents guarded their nests and raised their offspring until they were strong enough to join the herd. One Triceratops individual was recently found with fossilized skin impressions that is now held at the Museum of Natural Science in Houston. When paleontologists examined the skin, they found small holes that could indicate that these dinosaurs once had quills on its back, much like that of Protoceratops, making this already striking creature even more interesting. Triceratops belonged to the Ceratopsidae family, a group of horned dinosaurs that evolved in the late Cretaceous. It descended from earlier species like Protoceratops and Styracosaurus, which had smaller frills and different horn arrangements, respectively. For years, scientists debated whether Torosaurus, a dinosaur with a much larger frill and different skull shape, was actually just an older version of Triceratops. Some researchers believe Triceratops's frill changed shape as it aged, meaning the two species might have been the same. However, this theory is still debated today. Triceratops was truly one of the last great dinosaurs before the asteroid impact that wiped out all of the non-avian dinosaurs 66 million years ago. It was a powerful herbivore, a skilled fighter, and an essential part of the prehistoric ecosystem. From its discovery to the ongoing mysteries about its evolution, Triceratops remains one of the most fascinating dinosaurs to ever roam the Earth. What do you think? Was Triceratops the ultimate dinosaur of its time? Let me know in the comments below. Welcome to the fascinating world of my favorite dinosaur, Dilophosaurus. You may recognize this dinosaur from popular media, but the real Dilophosaurus was very different from its fictional portrayals. This early Jurassic predator was one of the most unique theropods of its time, with its distinctive crest and powerful build. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the discovery, anatomy, evolution, and lifestyle of this incredible dinosaur. So stick around to the end to learn why Dilophosaurus was one of the most important predators of its era. The story of Dilophosaurus begins in 1942 when Navajo fossil hunter Jesse Williams discovered the first remains in Arizona. These fossils were later studied by paleontologist Samuel P. Wells, who initially believed the specimen belonged to Megalosaurus, a common misidentification of theropods at the time. However, in 1970, Wells re-examined the fossils and realized they represented a completely new genus. He named it Dilophosaurus, meaning two-crested lizard, after the pair of distinctive crests on its skull. The fossils were found in the Kayenta Formation, dating to the early Jurassic period, roughly 193 million years ago. This made Dilophosaurus one of the earliest large theropods, providing crucial insights into the evolution of predatory dinosaurs. One of the most striking features of Dilophosaurus was its twin crests, which ran along the top of its skull. While they were too thin and fragile to be used for defense or combat, they may have played a role in species recognition or perhaps sexual display. This suggests that Dilophosaurus may have engaged in visual communication, much like modern birds and reptiles. The skull of Dilophosaurus was relatively light, with large openings called fenestra, which reduced weight while maintaining some strength. Its teeth were long, serrated, and curved, ideal for gripping and slicing through flesh. However, the upper jaw had a noticeable notch, leading some scientists to initially believe it had a weaker bite compared to later theropods. Despite this, recent research suggests Dilophosaurus was a formidable predator. It had powerful forelimbs equipped with sharp claws, which may have helped subdue struggling prey. Its long, muscular legs made it an efficient runner, capable of chasing down prey across the semi-arid floodplains of the early Jurassic. As an early member of the theropod lineage, Dilophosaurus represents an important transitional form in dinosaur evolution. It was more advanced than earlier carnivores like Coelophysis, yet not as specialized as later Jurassic theropods such as Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus. Dilophosaurus belongs to a group called Dilophosauridae, a family of lightly built, crested theropods that flourished in the early Jurassic. while later theropods developed stronger skulls and deeper jaws for bone-crushing bites. Dilophosaurus likely relied on speed, agility, and its sharp teeth to hunt efficiently. Its existence highlights the rapid diversification of theropods after the Triassic-Jurassic extinction event, a mass extinction that wiped out many early reptiles and allowed dinosaurs to dominate terrestrial ecosystems. For its time, Dilophosaurus was one of the largest land predators. It measured around 20 to 23 feet in length and stood about 6.5 feet tall at the hips. It weighed between 880 to 1,100 pounds, making it significantly larger than most Triassic predators, and one of the top carnivores of its environment. While Dilophosaurus was not as massive as later Jurassic giants like Allosaurus, its combination of speed, intelligence, and deadly claws made it an effective hunter in its ecosystem. So how did Dilophosaurus live? Fossil evidence suggests that it inhabited river valleys and floodplains, where it likely hunted small to medium-sized dinosaurs and other vertebrates. Some scientists speculate that Dilophosaurus may have been a scavenger as well, using its speed to steal kills from smaller predators. One of the most debated topics is whether Dilophosaurus was a solitary hunter or a social animal. Some trackway evidence suggests that it may have moved in small groups, potentially hinting at pack behavior. However, this remains uncertain, as many theropods were likely opportunistic hunters and could switch between solitary and cooperative hunting depending on the situation. Another misconception, largely influenced by its portrayal in Jurassic Park, is that Dilophosaurus could spit venom and had a frill like a frilled lizard. There is no fossil evidence to support this idea. While it makes for great storytelling, the real Dilophosaurus was deadly enough without needing such fictional abilities. In summary, Dilophosaurus was a fascinating and important predator of the early Jurassic, with its distinctive twin crests, lightweight but powerful skull, and swift hunting abilities. It was a crucial step in theropod evolution. As one of the earliest large meat-eating dinosaurs, it paved the way for the rise of even larger and more specialized predators in the Jurassic period. What do you think of Dilophosaurus? Do you think it hunted alone or in groups? Let me know in the comments. Imagine a creature no bigger than a crow, covered in shimmering feathers and sporting not 2, but 4 wings. A tiny prehistoric daredevil that glided silently through the ancient forests of what is now China. This is Microraptor, a fascinating window into the evolutionary bridge between dinosaurs and birds. Today we're peering into the world of this feathered raptor, from its discovery and anatomy to its evolution, hunting tactics, and how it lived. So sit back and relax as we explore the story of Microraptor, one of nature's most elegant prehistoric flyers. Microraptor was first discovered in the early 2000s in the Jufonting Formation of Liaoning Province, China, an area famous for its exquisitely preserved fossils. The first named species, Microraptor chauinus, was described in 2000, but the most famous species, Microraptor gui, followed in 2003. What made these fossils truly astonishing was their condition: fully articulated skeletons with clear impressions of feathers, even on the limbs and tail. These fossils didn't suggest a feathered dinosaur, they proved it. Microraptor quickly became a centerpiece in the debate over the origin of feathered flight and the evolutionary link between dinosaurs and birds. Microraptor was a small dromaeosaurid theropod, part of the same group that includes Velociraptor. But unlike its more famous cousin, Microraptor was only about 3 feet long and weighed just 2 to 3 pounds. Its most striking feature was its 4 wings. It had long, feathered limbs, not just on its arms, but on its legs as well. These feathers were asymmetrical, just like modern flight feathers we see in birds today. And it had a long feathered tail, shaped like a modern bird's tail feathers, only a lot longer. Its hands were equipped with 3 curved claws, and it had a sharp toothed snout for catching prey. This was no awkward flyer. It was built for precision gliding between trees. Microraptor sits at a crucial junction in the evolutionary story of birds. It belongs to the clade Paraves, which includes dromaeosaurs, troodontids, and avialans, the lineage that gave rise to the birds. Some paleontologists argue that Microraptor and similar species represent an experimental phase in evolution, trying out various body plans for flight. The four-winged anatomy may not have been the most efficient, but it was an important step in the development of powered flight. Interestingly, Microraptor likely wasn't a direct ancestor of birds, but rather a close cousin, a glimpse into the diversity of feathered and tree-dwelling dinosaurs in the early Cretaceous. Its discovery helped solidify the theory that birds evolved from small, feathered theropods, and not from reptiles like pterosaurs, but from ground-dwelling predators who learned to leap and glide before mastering the skies. So how did Microraptor survive in this lush prehistoric environment? Its feathered limbs weren't just for show. They allowed it to glide or even fly from tree to tree, giving it access to multiple levels of the forest. It likely launched itself from high branches, spreading all four limbs to increase surface area and control. Fossil evidence shows stomach contents including small mammals, fish, and even birds, meaning Microraptor was likely an opportunistic carnivore. It used its agility and element of surprise to ambush its prey. Its long, stiff tail would have acted like a rudder, helping it steer mid-glide, while its claws helped it climb or cling to tree trunks before launching again. Some scientists even speculate it would have used a biplane wing configuration to control descents better than any modern glider alive today. Microraptor lived roughly 120 million years ago in a forested environment rich with biodiversity. The volcanic ash and fine sediments in the Jufotong Formation preserved not just bones, but soft tissues and even melaninsomes, tiny structures that suggest Microraptor's feathers may have been iridescent black, like modern crows. Juvenile fossils show that Microraptor grew relatively quickly and may have lived solitarily or in small groups, gliding from branch to branch to avoid large predators and search for prey. There's little direct evidence of nesting behavior, but given its bird-like features, it's possible Microraptor laid clutches of eggs in tree hollows or protected spaces, much like some modern birds and reptiles. Microraptor was more than just a dinosaur. It was a living experiment in evolution, a creature that blurred the lines between land and sky, between raptor and bird, predator and flyer. Its discovery helped change our understanding of flight and evolution of feathers. It showed us that the dinosaur lineage didn't end in extinction, but took to the skies, transforming into the birds that fill our world today. In a world where size often dominates the prehistoric narrative, Microraptor reminds us that small doesn't mean insignificant. Sometimes it's little things that leave the biggest impact. Welcome back, all you beautiful people. Today we're uncovering the incredible story of one of the most fearsome predators to ever walk the earth, the Utahraptor. Known for its enormous claws and massive size, this apex predator was a true symbol of the early Cretaceous. In this video, we'll explore everything about Utahraptor from its discovery and evolution to its size, behavior, and ultimate extinction. So let's take a look into this prehistoric world of this fascinating dinosaur. The story of Utahraptor begins in 1975, when a single, massive claw was discovered in Dalton Wells Quarry in Utah. At the time, no one realized just what it was that they had unearthed, or how significant it was. Fast forward to 1991, when the famous paleontologist James Kirkland and his team uncovered more complete remains, including bones and additional claws. These discoveries revealed a dromaeosaur larger than any that had ever been seen before. Utahraptor was officially named Utahraptor ostrom masorum in 1993, a nod to both its place of discovery and John Ostrom, a pioneer in studying dromaeosaurs. Utahraptor was the largest member of the dromaeosaurid family, which includes smaller relatives like the velociraptor. It had a robust, muscular build and could reach up to 23 feet in length and weigh over 1,000 pounds. Its most iconic feature was its massive curved claws measuring up to 9 inches long, perfect for slashing prey. Utahraptor's body was likely covered in feathers, a feature that connects it to other dromaeosaurs, troodontids, and birds that evolved from the Middle Jurassic. Its long tail provided balance, while its sharp teeth and strong jaw went to work dispatching prey such as iguanodonts and sauropods. Utahraptor lived during the early Cretaceous period, about 126 million years ago. As a basal or primitive dromaeosaur, Utahraptor represents an early stage in the evolution of this group. While later dromaeosaurs became smaller and more specialized, Utahraptor retained a more primitive, more powerful build. This evolutionary position made it a vital link in understanding the transition from larger carnivorous dinosaurs to smaller, more agile hunters like the later Velociraptor. Standing about 6 feet tall at the hip, 23 feet long, and weighing up to 150 pounds, Utahraptor was a true giant among dromaeosaurs. It was significantly larger and more heavily built than its relatives like the Deinonychus and Omniraptor. Its sheer size made it a top predator in its ecosystem, capable of taking down large herbivores with ease. Utahraptor was a carnivore that likely hunted both solo and in groups, depending on the size of its prey. Evidence from fossil sites suggests that it may have hunted in packs, allowing it to take down large herbivores many times its size. With sharp claws and powerful legs, Utahraptor was built for ambush attacks, using its speed and strength to overwhelm its prey. Its feathered body might have also helped with camouflage, blending into its surroundings, much like modern-day cheetahs. Utahraptor lived in what is now the state of Utah, which during the early Cretaceous was a semi-arid environment with rivers, floodplains, and scattered forests. This environment provided a rich variety of prey from large herbivores to small animals. The discovery of multiple Utahraptor fossils in a single quarry suggests that they may have lived in groups, possibly cooperating to survive in this challenging environment. Like many species, Utahraptor likely faced extinction due to changes in its environment. Shifting climates, the disappearance of prey species, or competition with other predators, such as larger theropods encroaching on its territory, may have contributed to its decline. Fossil evidence shows that some Utahraptors were trapped in quicksand-like conditions, leading to their deaths and eventual preservation. These fossils have provided paleontologists with a rare snapshot of their lives and eventual deaths. Utahraptor remains one of the most fascinating dinosaurs to have ever been discovered. From its deadly claws to its unique place in the dromaeosaur family tree, it continues to capture our imaginations. Whether hunting in packs or roaming solo, this apex predator was a giant of its family. Before mighty creatures like the famous Quetzalcoatlus and Pterodon soared the skies with wingspans the size of planes, the skies belonged to a smaller, stranger pioneer. Meet Dimorphodon, a clumsy flyer with a head largely disproportionate for its body, sharp teeth, and a long, swift tail. It might not look like much, but this early pterosaur played a critical role in the evolution of vertebrate flight. Quickly, before we start the video, I have an announcement. Statistically, only 1% of everyone watching is subscribed. So be sure and subscribe, it will help me out a lot. Now, back to the video. Today we're taking an in-depth look at Dimorphodon, exploring how it was discovered, how we believe it lived, what made it unique, and why this quirky reptile is so important to our understanding of prehistoric life. The story of Dimorphodon begins in the early 19th century along the rugged cliffs of Lyme Regis on the southern coast of England. This region, known as the Jurassic Coast, is famous for preserving an ancient world in stone, and it was here in 1828 that fossil hunter Mary Anning made yet another groundbreaking discovery. Anning, already famous for uncovering ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs, found the partial remains of a strange creature embedded in a cliffside. The skeleton included a large, deep skull with sharp teeth, a set of wings, and a long tail. Clearly not a dinosaur, but also unlike any modern creature. The fossil was first described by geologist William Buckland, but it was Richard Owen, one of the founders of modern paleontology, who gave it the name Dimorphodon micronix in 1859. The name means two-formed tooth, referring to the creature's unusual dental layout of having two different types of teeth. This seemingly small detail has enormous implications for understanding its diet, behavior, and evolutionary history. Dimorphodon was a relatively small pterosaur with a wingspan of about 1.4 meters or just under 5 feet, and a body length of around 1 meter or just over 3 feet. Its bones were light and hollow like those of birds, keeping it light enough for flight. But what stands out most is its disproportionately large skull, deep and boxy with large openings and a beak-like snout filled with an odd mix of teeth. The front teeth were long, fang-like, ideal for grabbing prey. Towards the back of the jaw, however, were smaller, blunter teeth, suggesting a capacity for chewing or crushing food, not just tearing it. Its wings were formed by a membrane stretching from an extended fourth finger, like all pterosaurs, and its tail was long and stiff, likely used for stabilization during flight, like a rudder on a boat. On land, Dimorphodon likely used a quadrupedal gait, walking on both its hind legs and its folded wings. It had strong limbs with curved claws, which made it a good climber, similar to the modern-day squirrels, perhaps even nesting on cliffs or tree branches. Living roughly 195 to 190 million years ago during the early Jurassic, Dimorphodon would have inhabited warm coastal environments rich in vegetation, insects, and small vertebrates. Its fossil remains are primarily found in what is now southern England, but a second species, Dimorphodon winthropi, was later discovered in Mexico, indicating a wider geographical range. Its odd dental arrangement hints at a flexible diet. It may have hunted insects, small vertebrates, or even scavenged for carrion. Unlike more specialized pterosaurs that were to come later, Dimorphodon seems to have been an ecological generalist, able to survive in a variety of niches. Its large eyes suggest it may have been crepuscular, active during dawn and dusk, when light was low and competition was less fierce. But flight wasn't its strong suit. Its heavy skull and relatively short wings suggest it wasn't built for soaring. Instead, Dimorphodon probably flew in short, clumsy bursts, more like a modern-day pheasant than an eagle. Think flailing takeoffs from the ground or cliffs, followed by gliding or gliding-assisted descents. Dimorphodon is part of a group of early pterosaurs known as the rhamphorhynchoids, characterized by long tails, toothless jaws, and less aerodynamic body plans than their later cousins. As a transitional species, Dimorphodon occupies an important place in the pterosaur lineage. It preserves a blend of primitive traits with its tail and teeth, with more advanced adaptations for flight. Its anatomy gives us a rare window into how early flying reptiles evolved from gliding ancestors into the true flyers. The variation in its teeth is particularly important. Most reptiles have uniform dentition, but Dimorphodon shows early steps towards the dental specialization we see in mammals. It's a glimpse into how natural selection can shape anatomy and convergent evolution. Additionally, studying Dimorphodon helps paleontologists trace how flight evolved independently in different animal groups: bats, birds, and pterosaurs, all using different anatomical structures to take to the skies. Dimorphodon wasn't the biggest, it wasn't the fastest, and it probably wasn't even the most graceful, but it was a pioneer, one of the earliest reptiles to take to the skies, blazing a trail through evolution that would later lead to giants. Thanks to Mary Anning's discovery and generations of paleontologists who followed, we've been able to piece together the story of this odd little flyer. And though it's long extinct, Dimorphodon continues to inspire us with its awkward charm, scientific importance, and place in the grand story of life on Earth. The Mesozoic oceans have always captivated the imagination of people around the world with images of fearsome creatures that look nothing like we see today. The largest of these creatures were actually aquatic reptiles such as the mosasaurs and the plesiosaurs. Going back to the early Triassic, an unknown land reptile began to favor a more marine lifestyle, even becoming completely waterbound. This creature would eventually give way to the ichthyosaurs. This order of aquatic reptile existed throughout most of the Mesozoic era, and contains over 100 known species, one of which currently competes for the title of largest animal ever. Today we delve into the depths of the prehistoric seas to uncover the story of Ichthyotitan severvensis. The tale of Ichthyotitan begins in 2016, along the shores of Somerset, England. Fossil collector Paul de la Salle stumbled upon a massive bone fragment in Westbury Formation. This partial left jawbone, measuring around 96 centimeters, hinted at a creature of unprecedented size. Further discoveries in 2020 near Blue Anchor by 11-year-old Ruby Reynolds and her father unveiled additional jaw fragments, leading to the identification of a new species. Ichthyotitan, translating to giant fish lizard, lived approximately 202 million years ago during the late Triassic period. By using the jaw fragments in comparative biology, this marine reptile is estimated to have reached lengths up to 25 meters or 82 feet, making it the largest marine reptile known to date. Its most distinctive feature, the singular bone of the lower jaw, exhibits a unique upward turn, setting it apart from other ichthyosaurs. Ichthyosaurs first appeared in the early Triassic period and rapidly evolved into a diverse group of marine reptiles. The discovery of Ichthyotitan extends the known existence of giant ichthyosaurs by 13 million years, suggesting that these colossal creatures thrived until the end Triassic extinction event. This challenges previous assumptions about the timeline of ichthyosaur evolution. To grasp the sheer magnitude of Ichthyotitan, consider this. At 25 meters in length, it rivals the modern blue whale. Its immense size not only underscores the rich biodiversity of the Triassic seas, but also highlights the evolutionary success of ichthyosaurs in adapting to their marine environment. While direct evidence of Ichthyotitan's behavior is scarce, its anatomical features suggest it was an apex predator, unlike earlier beliefs that stated ichthyosaurs were suction feeders. Current research indicates that Ichthyotitan likely hunted actively, preying on smaller marine reptiles and fish, much like today's orcas. The discovery of Ichthyotitan offers a profound glimpse into the ancient oceans and the magnificent creatures that once ruled them. As paleontologists continue to unearth and study these prehistoric giants, each finding enriches our understanding of life's history on Earth, reminding us of the ever-evolving tapestry of life. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more explorations into the wonders of natural history.